do.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams, sportswear. Click on the link, and while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise. Welcome to the Mac and Jack Sports Show. Mac and Jack are back after a little bit of a layoff, and I'm excited to be back on Roku again. Of course, me and Jack start off your Roku day here, always at National Streaming Sports. Good morning, Jack. Good morning, everybody. As I said, glad to be back with you, partner.
And Mac, I'm multitasking. Everyone should know I'm doing this show and babysitting at the same time. You know, it's an obligation that I was penciled in for a while ago on this state. So I'm doing the best I can. Multitasking, Mac. You're not used to multitasking, I guess, Mac.
No,
you pretty much have tunnel vision. You're one-dimensional. So I kind of spread things around.
Right. The tunnel vision works in certain situations.
And it's great for you to be back, Mac. It's great to be back with you, too.
Thank you. So, Jack, we've got a lot of news to get to, as we always do. I want to take a look at Thanksgiving games tomorrow. We got 3 games, Jack. We've got the Giants at Dallas. We got Chicago at Detroit, Miami at the Packers. Of those 3 games, which one do you think is going to be the most competitive?
Oh, easily Miami at Green Bay is the most compelling game. You know, Thanksgiving, traditionally, the games, I never really enjoyed them because the Lions and Cowboys were staple at Thanksgiving Day games. The Cowboys have usually been good, but the Lions were dreadful for so many years.
Yeah.
And their games would be boring, the Lions on Thanksgiving. But the Lions right now in the power rankings are the number 1 team in the NFL. They play a Chicago Bear team, which shows some upside from time to time. They show a lot of potential. They've lost a lot of close games. The rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, is a bit of a lightning rod, but we expect him to be a pretty good NFL quarterback when all is said and done. Maybe an elite one, perhaps. But the Lions, the way they're going on Thanksgiving, I don't see them having a blip the way they had last year when the Green Bay Packers beat them in Detroit. They should get the job done, and very decisively, I think, against the Chicago Bear team. But it's entertainment because you're seeing at this moment the best team in football play on Thanksgiving, the Detroit Lions. but underline the words at this moment. Will they be the best team in football come playoff time? That's the question. Will the other good teams in the NFL, will the other very good teams close the gap, catch up to them, and play the type of game someone to upset the Lions, when all is said and done?
Yeah. I guess the least competitive would be the Giants at Dallas. I mean, you got two quarterbacks that aren't starters for sure. You've got a good running back with the Giants, Tracy, rookie running back, a decent running back that just came on the scene recently with Dallas. Both defenses have a lot of flaws, Jack. I don't know what to expect out of this game. Being a Giant fan, of course, I want to see him win, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, Dallas went into Washington and unexpectedly got a victory there. And all of a sudden, that season, it was a disaster. It's still a big mess at Dallas, but at least they quieted everyone down for a week with a big win at Washington. And assuming they beat the Giants, you can't fully assume it the way Dallas has been this year. But if they do beat the Giants as expected, that'll be 2 wins in a row. All of a sudden, there'll be a little talk, well, maybe we could make a run at the playoffs. All of a sudden, there'll be a little bit interest in Dallas, especially if they win this game decisively, which they should. I mean, watching the Cowboys against the Commanders, the teams seem to be somewhat united, okay? With all the criticism they went under, they played hard, and it was a well-earned victory. And as opposed to the Giants, there's so much dissension going over there. Moving on from Daniel Jones and the way it was done, went over really bad in the locker room. How do you make your starting quarterback, put him on the scout team? That's like embarrassing them. And the other players didn't like it. Dexter Lawrence, Malik Neighbors says our problem hasn't been the quarterback. They came to Daniel Jones's defense. And to play Tommy Cutlets, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It served no purpose at all because Tommy Cutlets is not going to be their starter next year. He's not auditioning for anything but perhaps to stay on the roster in a backup role. He's third string now at best. He could develop into a second string quarterback at best.
Agreed.
And it's a bad move. The Giants are a mess right now. I don't see them showing up Thanksgiving and playing as hard as the Cowboys are going to do. I just don't see it. That's not to say they're not going to put in a good effort, but the Cowboys should have a little too much for them, I think, tomorrow.
And
but
with that, go ahead.
The intriguing game, Dolphins at Packers. That is the intriguing game. Because the Dolphins have won their last 3. They got something going now since Tua's come back. The Dolphins can make a playoff run, and they've actually started their playoff run to get in as a wild card. They can't win their division, of course. Buffalo's got that pretty much locked up. But if they can go into Green Bay and beat the Packers, look out. That means the Dolphins are coming on. Now, the weather's going to be very cold in Green Bay. And the Dolphins' kryptonite has been cold weather traditionally. But if they should flip the script and beat the Packers, an elite team in Green Bay, you got to really look out for Miami going forward.
I mean, I don't know, Jack. I don't think the Dolphins have a shot at the playoffs, honestly, realistically. If you're talking all the AFC, tiebreakers, conference games, all that, and you have over in the West right now, you have KC, you got the Chargers, you got Denver. They're all still alive. In the North, you still got Pittsburgh, you still got Baltimore, you still got Cincinnati, believe it or not, still alive. And as you said, Buffalo's got that the East wrapped up. Yeah, I don't see them making it. I don't see them making the playoffs this year. I really don't.
Well, if they beat Green Bay and they keep winning, I mean, they're more of a factor than Cincinnati right now, the Dolphins. So I wouldn't call Cincinnati a factor. Between the Ravens and Steelers, someone is going to win that division. And the Steelers suffered a damaging loss in a trap game playing at Cleveland last week. Those games come back to haunt you. and that opened the door for the Ravens, who upset the Chargers. I shouldn't say upset the Chargers. It wasn't an upset. But beat the Chargers in, Los Angeles. So, you don't know. These crap games, one upset turns things around.
100% right. I agree with that. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones comes out and says, we're going to give Mike McCarthy an extension. And you don't think it's crazy that they do that. Mike McCarthy, of course, won a Super Bowl with Green Bay. He's brought the Dallas Cowboys to 12-5 last 3 years. And, of course, the Clapper, Jason Garrett, was there for over a decade, Jack. So I'm interested to see if Dallas does not make the playoffs and they keep McCarthy as a head coach there. I'm really interested to see what the fans are going to do, because the fans right now don't like the way the Dallas Cowboys are playing overall. Cooper Rush is the quarterback. Dak is still hurt. You got your wide receiver threat with CeeDee Lamb, pretty good tight end. Defense is still not that functional. I'll be really interested to see how the fans react if Dallas keeps McCarthy there. So we were talking about Jets a minute ago. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about the new system they're setting up over there. It's the first time since 2015. Now, I don't know what they did in 2015, Jack, but I don't think it was that good either. But you got Tannenbaum, a former GM. You've got Spielman, who is a current GM. They're supposedly searching for a new head coach. Rex Ryan's at the top list saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. I'll bring you back to where we were before I left, coming over from Baltimore as the defensive coordinator, or a defensive coach, I should say. What do you think about that whole situation? Are you ready for Rex Ryan to come back?
Yeah, let me apologize for leaving the set. Like I said, I'm on babysitting duty. It's difficult. Rex Ryan coming back, I mean, it would be intriguing. It really would. Rex Ryan has a big personality. He'd be entertaining with the media. We also have to look at Rex Ryan. He did get fired as coach of the Jets. He did take them to 2 AFC championship games, did a great job. But then he was even head coach at Buffalo, and he got let go from over there. So you have a couple of defensive coaches, elite, and Aaron Glenn with the Lions. Ben Johnson, obviously, with the Lions, assistant coaches in big demand. Brian Flores with the Vikings. Do you really want to go back in time to Rex Ryan? I mean, you may as well bring in Mike Tannenbaum as the GM. Rex Ryan, I mean, it's good media stuff. It's entertaining. But there's something wrong with the Jets that's dysfunctional, because Joe Douglas really did put together a good roster when you look at it. And analytics-wise, the Jets are not bad this year, but analytics have been deceiving in their case. And the Jets are the perfect example. You can put the best possible team on the field, but if they don't play well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter all the moves you make. Bottom line, at the end of the day, everyone has to play well. Everyone likes to point to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has not been good this year. Let's be honest about it. Has not been good this year at all. He has to take accountability, but I don't want to hear the blame with him. The defense has been given leads that they blew late in the game. So Aaron Rodgers shouldn't take the hit for the defense and the rest of the team. It's been a true staff team effort. But the question is, do the Jets want to go back in time with Rex Ryan? Or do you want to go back to an Aaron Glenn, who, by the way, was a former Jet? So you're still, in a sense, keeping it in the family. You tell me what you prefer.
I don't know. I think when you said it's a team effort, Aaron Rodgers scored like 9 points, or the offense, I should say, scored 9 points in one half, and then they scored more, and the defense couldn't keep up. So I don't think it was just the defense. What's interesting to me about Aaron Rodgers, he was on the Ken McAfee show, and he says he wants to come back and play for the Jets. And that kind of shocked me a little bit. He wants to come back and give it another shot. I know reputations and legends and things will be talked about after he leaves, And although he was a great quarterback for many years, a lot of times the last thing, as you know, Jack, being a superstar, the last thing that you have on your record is what follows you around for the rest of your life.
Oh, well, without question, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of options. I mean, who's going to take him? Most starting quarterback positions are full. And the few who aren't full, those teams might be going high in the draft. I was thinking of the best fits for Aaron Rodgers. And as incredible as this sounds for next year, maybe the best fit for him might be, believe it or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Steelers go flat in the playoffs, they might move on from Russell Wilson. They probably will. They might not have faith Justin Fields as the guy, and they might bring in Aaron Rodgers and keep Justin Fields on the roster. With Tennessee, if Will Levis continues to improve, he had a good game last game. I shouldn't say continue to improve, but they decide he's their guy. They're not going to want Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, the Raiders are going to draft a young quarterback. The Giants are going to draft a young quarterback. Where's there room for Aaron Rodgers? He's not the player he was. You're not getting the MVP Aaron Rodgers where you're going to clear space on your roster. The Vikings, Sam Darnold, chances are he leaves as a free agent. The Vikings could bring Aaron Rodgers in for 1 year conceivably, but let him know we're grooming J.J. McCarthy. Would Aaron Rodgers want that? I can't see Aaron Rodgers being a backup anywhere. And, it's becoming kind of high drama with Aaron Rodgers. It's not all his fault. He's a media lightning rod. Anything he says, they're going to pounce on. He doesn't help the situation. About the worst thing he did, which I resent a lot, when he threw Mike Williams under the bus, his receiver at Pittsburgh, when he was on the Jets, because he ran a wrong route. You don't go public with that and blame your receiver. A leader takes the hit himself, and then he talks to the player on the side, and they respect you taking the hit. Missing the few days of minicamp, I think that was overplayed. I really, really do. What goes on in June, I don't think his teammates resented that. And it's revealing that Aaron Rodgers' teammates haven't been saying things negatively, anonymously about him. He hasn't been a bad guy with them at all, but he's just not the player he was. Right. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Can he still be a winning quarterback? Perhaps, but we got games left in the season. Let him show that he has something left in the tank. These games do mean something going forward, even though the Jets' playoff hopes are basically out the window.
I agree. So we mentioned Daniel Jones a little bit. He cleared waivers. And you said that a lot of the players didn't like how he was treated. Where do you think he ends up? Does he maybe end up going to I don't think he wants to go to the Raiders. You said he wants to go to a team that has potential to go to playoffs, which is nice if you can do that. Is the Vikings a landing spot for Daniel Jones?
The Vikings are a landing spot, but he'd be Sam Darnold's backup. What does Daniel Jones want? If he wants to prove he's the starting NFL quarterback, caliber quarterback going forward, you go to a team like the Raiders, who maybe you can play for them this season. Maybe you could do something useful. His name's been linked to the Ravens. I mean, if he's playing behind Lamar Jackson, I mean, when's he going to play? It's the only way he gets in the event of an injury. I mean, it's not. And what is he looking? Certain quarterbacks have to reset and be a backup. They have no choice. Like in the case of Carson Wentz, he had to reset his career. He had 2 opportunities after Philadelphia to start, with Indianapolis and Washington. Neither worked out. He's Patrick Mahomes' backup. He's resetting. It's a cushiony job. You don't get in, you don't play unless there's an injury, and you're with a winning program. That's what maybe Daniel Jones has to do 1 year. But I'm going to tell you, for every Geno Smith who can revive his career after being a backup and kicking around the league, there's 25 other guys who just don't quite cut it. Let's be honest about it. You can always point to the one example, like Tom Brady, 6th-round draft choice, and say, well, you can get your quarterback on the 6th round of Brock Purdy, 7th round. Of course, you could catch lightning in a bottle once in a while, but you can't count on it. Daniel Jones, I think if he's really ready to play, would be best served going to place like the Raiders, because then it's put up or shut up. You get to play. You don't have the team around you, but if you look good, you'll perk other teams' interest. But let's face it, Mac, next year, no team is going to move forward with Daniel Jones as their starter unless by some fluke he went to a team like the Raiders and somehow lit it up and looked great, and they thought, we got our guy now. We don't have to draft a quarterback. We could draft someone like Travis Hunt out of Colorado and keep Daniel Jones. That's the only way he starts going forward.
Yeah, I was watching one of our shows on Roku, and a big Raider fan there, and he said he's scared of Daniel Jones going there for that exact purpose. He says he wants a young quarterback. He doesn't want Daniel Jones there, but if he does look good, now the Raiders here they go, well, we may have our quarterback next year, and he just doesn't want to hear that at all.
I got to tell you something funny, Mac. This happened a couple of years ago when Daniel Jones signed the contract. I'm on the phone with one of these phone service providers from Pittsburgh. He's talking to me from Pittsburgh. I don't know how he started talking football with the service provider. And he says that the Giants are out of their minds signing Daniel Jones to that deal. What could they be thinking? And this is a guy from Pittsburgh, not a Giant fan. He couldn't care less. And he nailed it. How come he knew more than the GMs?
Right.
I mean, the Giants didn't sign Saquon Barkley in large part. They said, well, we paid Daniel Jones this and that. And, but that's another issue. But the Giants are going to be in the market for a quarterback. Are they going to pick the right one? Would Cam Ward from Miami be available? If not, Shedeur Sanders or someone like that. Carson Beck. It's a little risky with these guys, Mac. It's a little risky, a lot risky.
No doubt, Jack. You spoke about of the GM, the ball. I do a show, of course, with my brother Bobby, Big Bobby G, and he said if the ball loses next week, he's done. He said him and Shine are probably gone. I tend to agree with him. I mean, he was supposed to be this guy that was, going to be able to turn Daniel Jones around or to whatever quarterback. Even Trubisky came back and played with him. He was going to be the guy to get him going, and he hasn't done it yet.
Well, Trubisky never rejoined the Giants. Trubisky was with the ball at Buffalo, and there was a thought that when Trubisky as a free agent, he'd come to the Giants. But I think the Giant ownership was committed to Daniel Jones, and during the interview process, they let it be known that was a priority, developing Daniel Jones. And listen, if it's Giants ownership's fault, forcing Daniel Jones on, the coach, the GM, that's another matter. That has to be considered by ownership, that the administration made the move we wanted them to make. But it's been a mess with Joe Shine. With everything we heard on HBO Hard Knocks, it makes the Giants look worse and worse. You kind of wonder how reluctant teams are going to be to allow their cameras in there. But, I blame John Mara. How come he's given the pass, but we get on Jerry Jones, we get on Robert Kraft, but we give John Mara a pass? He could have told Joe Shine, Saquon Barkley's a legacy player. He's more than just a player on the field. He's got to be a career Giant. He's the biggest jersey seller. We identify the most with him. He can still play. And if he's good enough for the Philadelphia Eagles to give the money to, then why isn't he good enough for the Giants to give the money to? And he shouldn't have had the attitude, I'm not interfering with the GM and coach. You're the darn owner. There's a difference between meddling and once in a while making an impact decision. You're even getting that now with the Yankees. Juan Soto, free agent. When Aaron Judge was a free agent, Hal Steinbrenner, the owner, stepped in and he overruled Brian Cashman and he made a decision. There's my grandson in the back.
There he is. He's checking out the outside. I don't blame him. So let's talk a little bit about, we were talking about Sam Darnold. They said he might have a possible groin injury, Jack, from the play last week that he might have pulled his groin muscle, and that was going to affect him in the next couple of games at least if he is injured.
Yes, I missed the name.
Sam Darnold. They say he has possible.
All the talk of Sam Darnold. They have Nicky Mullins as a backup there who has experience with the Vikings, has been with them a while. You can't go out and get another player. What are you going to do? You're going to get Daniel Jones. He has to learn the system. And how good is Daniel Jones? Let's stop a minute. You're talking about Daniel Jones, who had one good season out of 6. I mean, that doesn't mean Daniel Jones doesn't have upside, but let's not get carried away. Come on, give me a break. He's going to. The Vikings might be fond of Daniel Jones only because a couple of years ago he did beat him in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And Kevin O'Connell, a former NFL quarterback backup, is a bit of a quarterback guru. Have you noticed Kevin O'Connell after every game, he's going out of his way to hug the opposing quarterback and say kind words to them? I think Kevin O'Connell, he seems like a nice guy, but he's smart. Because he might have to deal with those guys down the road. They might become available, and they might think, oh, Coach O'Connell, he spoke so warmly to me. I'd love to go play for him. But look, give Kevin O'Connell his due, because he did revive the career of Sam Darnold, as I expected he would.
I agree. And we interviewed Phil Simms, and he said that, Bill Walsh will come over to him after the game, and they played, and he says, you are who we thought you were. And it kind of made Phil Simms feel really good about he got drafted.
Well, sometimes these guys see a quarterback, they love to draft him, they love to draft a player, but they can't do it. And then they see him succeed later, and they kind of feel good because it validates the judgment that they felt they had about that play. And they say, I wish he could have done it for me, but it's good to see he's as good as I thought he was going to be.
Yes. So, Jack, Thursday.
Bill Parcells did that with a linebacker, Darian O'Connor, once. He wanted the Giants to draft him instead of the running back, Rodney Hampton. So when Parcells was an analyst, he would brag about O'Connor, how good he was.
Yeah. So we got, for the first time in NFL Thursday night football history, 2 teams have been flexed into Thursday night. It's never been done before, Jack. So we got the Broncos playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Believe it or not, Cincinnati is favored by 3.5 points at home. I like the job that Sean Payton has done over there. I think he's really, for his real first full year, he did come in with Russell Wilson last year, kind of straightening him out last year. But for his first full year, he's really made big strides in Denver, Jack.
Yeah, Sean Payton was there last year. So, but Sean Payton is one of the few coaches who's a difference maker. Any team he takes over is going to be better. It's going to be better. So, and Denver last year, they started terribly, but they finished up at 8-9. He has a rookie quarterback this year. Their defense has been good, and then they're not a Super Bowl threat per se, but there's a reasonable chance they get into the playoffs. And, he's meant a lot. In all the years he was with New Orleans, they were always in the mix, in the mix. Plus, he is a Super Bowl winning coach on top of that when they beat the Indianapolis Colts that year. And he boldly tried that onside kick during the Super Bowl. Yeah. That succeeded.
Yes, sir. And so we got that. I did watch Baltimore. My TV was out in my hospital room, believe it or not. I was going absolutely nuts. I couldn't watch football. But Baltimore ends up beating the Chargers. Baltimore, they're saying, is a Super Bowl contender, but they only beat the Chargers by 7 points, Jack. It's not like they went there and beat them by 14 points. Lamar has a good game, throws for 177 yards. Henry runs for 140 yards, 1 touchdown, doing what he's supposed to do over there. But, things changed in the playoffs, Jack. I don't want to hear that Baltimore's a Super Bowl contender and the Chargers just barely are going to get in the playoffs, and that's it.
Well, Khalil Mack, after the game, was complaining. He said, Derrick Henry isn't that hard to tackle, not that hard to stop. With Henry run for 142 yards. Yeah. Khalil Mack says, well, I hope we play them again in the playoffs. somehow it doesn't seem with the records that that's going to be a mix in the playoffs, even though you never know. But if that's the case, they're going to be so focused on stopping Derrick Henry. It should open things up for Lamar Jackson with his receivers, even for Lamar Jackson to run.
And it sort of looks like, Jack, that Harbaugh has gotten Herbert back on track again. So, I mean, we talked about him maybe getting J.J. McCarthy, how he had ties to Michigan, how he's going to build the running offense and have a physical defense, which all that is great. But, Harbaugh is a quarterback guy. And like he did with his quarterbacks beforehand, now it seems like he's got Herbert back on track again, Jack.
Well, Harbaugh, people forget he was a former quarterback himself. And yeah, he's been having great relationships as his quarterback. Look, it goes back to when he coached the 49ers. Alex Smith was doing a great job as a starter, and he replaced him with Colin Kaepernick. That was a very bold move, a gutsy move, and it resulted in the 49ers, going to the Super Bowl. J.J. McCarthy, he had him at Michigan, wound up being the number 1 overall draft choice. And Harbaugh said McCarthy was the best player in the draft beforehand, which kind of made me wonder whether the Chargers were going to pull off a massive deal and trade Herbert and draft McCarthy, something along those lines. But he stood with Herbert, and Herbert's back to his old self. He's now one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL again. For a while, he kind of slipped out of that. But, the offensive line is functioning a lot better for the Chargers, the play calling and everything. And Herbert's playing with such great enthusiasm as well.
Yes. Thank you, Rick. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back with my compadre, Jack, here as we cover all the news of the last couple of days. We've talked about the Vikings a lot, Rick. I don't know if you've been here the whole show or not, but we've talked about the Vikings, the Giants, the Jets, trying to get a hand on who we think. I mean, I think right now I would have to say Kansas City and Detroit would have to be the 2 favorites to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, you think about Patrick Mahomes and that big defense, and now Pacheco is back. They got a very good possession receiver now. They've got, of course, Kelsey, who may be getting to his final year or two, and that defense with Brown is unbelievable. McDuffie and the cornerbacks. So I like them a lot. I do like the Detroit Lions a lot. They got offensively, defensively, the right coach for that town. They got a great running game, great passing game. Defense is no joke either. I do like both their chances. I guess you could throw it in the Eagles the way they're playing right now with Saquon. I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I don't know if they'll beat. I don't know if they'll beat the. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know if they'll beat the Eagles. Is that what I'm talking about? I'm having a brain freeze right here. You're going back to work and just tuning in. Good. It feels better, a lot better to be in work than in bed. But I'll tell you that for a fact. So yeah. So we still got a lot of games left. We got the Thanksgiving games coming up, which I can't wait to watch. And my Giants will be one of them playing against the Cowboys. I would love to see them beat the Cowboys. It would make my day, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And so we'll see what happens with that. In college, Jack, I'll talk about this with Keith tonight too. You got the 3 big teams. You got Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas. And for some reason or another, I think Keith is behind this because he's pushing it. Notre Dame's in 4th place, ranked 4th. They have not played anybody of significance, Jack. They have not beaten Penn State. They haven't beaten Ohio State. They haven't beaten any SEC team. They barely got through some of the games they played. I love Notre Dame. I'm a Notre Dame fan from way back. I just don't understand, besides the popularity of Notre Dame, why they're in the top four.
Well, you knew their schedule before the season, so I don't see how anyone can complain. I mean, we hear that a lot of times in sports, who they played, boxing, who they fought, who they done this or that. I mean, Notre Dame's been a little up and down. They started the year slowly, then they were coming on, and they're Notre Dame. They're Notre Dame. The name is magic. If they were Notre Dame, would we be talking about the program at all? It's just the magic of certain names, and they're always going to have that magic because Notre Dame, more than any other college, more than any other university, is associated with college football. I don't mean they've been the best. Obviously, they haven't had the success that, let's say, in Alabama's had, but they're the most, associated with college football. So we're going to talk about them, and expectations are always going to be high.
I agree. Little bit of NBA standings here. You got Cleveland in first, Boston in second, Orlando in third, the Knicks in fifth, the Heat in sixth, and then you got Oklahoma in the West, Oklahoma, Golden State, Houston, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Memphis Grizzlies. I know we got a couple Thanksgiving basketball games too, Jack. I think the Knicks are playing Dallas. I love what the Knicks are finally getting together, passing the ball. They had one of the best since the 70s of assists from each other. Brunson and the team is just doing really well, and I'm glad to see it, Jack. So being a Knicks fan, I know you're a Nets fan too, but being a Knicks fan, it's good to see the Knicks playing some really good team basketball.
Well, how do you like the Nets going into Golden State and winning there? I mean, you say they're pesky. I don't think they're going to be a playing team even, and I'm not optimistic about the Nets. I mean, unless they can really get an impact player somehow, but they're playing hard. You give them credit. Talk about a team playing up to their full potential. That's the Nets. So many of these young NBA teams have improved a lot. Even a team like the Detroit Pistons, who set a record for consecutive losses. What were they? 8-11 the last time I saw this year. Some of these weak teams are really overachieving, and when the new era, where the Houston Rockets now, who had a rough spell for a while, the Orlando Magic, I mean, they're relevant, those teams.
Yeah. Speaking of basketball, Mark Cuban, the former owner, of course, he normally sat behind the players, when they were playing during the game alongside of them. It seems like he's not allowed the games to do that anymore, Jack. He can't sit down by the sidelines anymore. He can't sit behind the players. Is this a full break? I mean, I know he sold the team to a real estate agency. Is this a break? Are we getting away from Mark Cuban being the star of his own team?
You are. Yeah. He sold the team, bottom line. They said he could run the company for a while, one of those type deals, but he sold the team. He's not in charge of the decision making. I was surprised he did it because my thought was he loved, owning the Dallas Mavericks so much. He'd never sell. I mean, he was always going to have more than enough money. I mean, if you can own a team and you're worth, let's say, hypothetically, $2 billion, and someone offers to double your net worth to $4 billion if you just give them the team. I mean, I don't think I would do it. I'd have more than enough money, and I would just love being in charge of the team. That would be worth more to me than money. But Mark Cuban made what he thought was a really good business deal, and I wonder how much he regrets it because he loved doing it so much. And and he's not going to be in charge. They can get rid of him if they want, the Mavs organization now, even though we still link him with the Dallas Mavs.
So I know we've spoke about this in the past, especially you, Jack. Of course, we got a new president coming aboard, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's been in sports almost all his life. Boxing, football, USFL, wrestling. He's been in everything. And as you see, when he gives out medals of honor, he gives it to a lot of former players. The Congressional Medal of Honor, he'll give it to the players before he'll give it to anybody else, which to me is great. So what are your thoughts about of Donald Trump And is this going to bring sports even more steam across the world, or is it is what it is?
I mean, he is a sportsman. I know he gave Mariano Rivera the medal, had him to the White House. I know in the past when he had a rally, he pointed out, oh, Paul O'Neill is here in the crowd, because he likes the Yankees. And, listen, he likes sports. And what was it? The college national champions or something he had. They honored them at the White House and they served McDonald's and KFC. I mean, that was a little out of the box. So I think the players enjoyed it a lot. One of them I saw pictured having like a few burgers. What was he going to do? Take them back like a snack,
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be have a lot of fun there. We got baseball. Snell has signed.
Blake Snell, Blake Snell with the Dodgers, Mac. 5 years, $182 million. That's more than $36 million a year, close to $36.5 million. And free agency wound up paying off for Blake Snell. I mean, the first time around last year, it didn't. He opted out at the end of the year, and the Dodgers took a chance. Blake Snell, 2-time Cy Young Award winner. He's an elite pitcher. There's no way of getting around it, but he's injury prone.
Yes.
It's risky signing Blake Snell because you don't know whether he's going to be able to take the mound on a regular basis, but you take a chance. I mean, I wish the Yankees would take a similar chance on a Walker Buehler, the Dodger pitcher who's a free agent, who has shown himself to be an elite pitcher in the past, but's been hurt. Pay him the big money now. Take a chance, because if he's healthy, you get a steal. You get a heck of a pitcher there. Yeah, and there's some good pitchers on the market. Impact pitchers like Max Fried available. Corbin Burns rated, number one there. Shane Bieber, Jack Flaherty. They're good starting pitchers still available there. And teams could help themselves a lot, by signing those guys.
Yeah, no doubt. And your thoughts on Juan Soto and also on a polar bear, Jack? What do you think they're going to do? Where do you think Juan Soto ends up?
I think he winds up in Mets. I mean, and I'm a Yankee fan. He's not replaceable. He's that great. He is not replaceable in the Yankee lineup, next year at least. You're not going to get someone who's going to produce like Juan Soto. But if you improve your team in different ways, you can make up for the loss. That's the thing about it. But let's be honest about it. You're not going to get a bat like Juan Soto. But for what he's asking, what they're paying, there's got to be a stopping point. Defensively, he's probably better than people give him credit for. They're making him out to be a slouch. I don't think he's a bad defender. But he's not a great base runner. Think of it on the bases. He's not dynamic. He's not Willie Mays on the base path, where he makes things happen. He's just a great bat, He's a team guy. But for the amount of money and the amount of years you're giving him, I kind of feel the Yankees might be best served, just taking a pass on it because it's gotten out of hand. He's going to want 15 years. If he doesn't he's 26. Steve Cohen Meadow, they'll probably give him like 14 years, $50 million a year, give him opt-outs, the whole thing. I think it's getting a little out of hand. Even if the Yankees go up to $50 million a year, which they conceivably would, Steve Cohen is probably going to top that. Yeah. The danger with the Yankees, he's not a Yankee anymore. Emotionally, everyone thinks he's with the Yankees until proven otherwise. He's not a Yankee anymore. Mackey said it himself. Every team gets a chance. Even Aaron Judge didn't say that. He was a free agent. Aaron Judge came up through the system, a Yankee system, and he had like a Yankee pedigree. Juan Soto had one wonderful year in the Bronx, but he doesn't really have a Yankee pedigree. He doesn't have, a Yankee history per se. And if he leaves the Yankees, we're going to look back fondly. Look, he was good, really great the 1 year we had him. He helped us get to the World Series. Thank you. But, we've got to move on. That's my feeling now. As a Yankee fan, I'm not optimistic the Yankees are going to sign Juan Soto. But you want to know something? If you get guys like Willie Adames, the infielder, you get one of the starting pitchers, you strengthen your bullpen, you maybe get Nolan Arenado in a deal with St. Louis to play third or even maybe move to first. You could have a darn good team.
Yeah.
Darn good team.
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. He's intriguing. I don't know if he's going to get the type of offer he wants. He's 30 years old. The Mets offer him 7 years, $158 million. That's a little more than $22.5 million a year. Some team might pay him $25 million a year for 3 years. I just don't know. Alonso might have to take one of these 2-year deals where he could opt out after one to reset his value. I just don't know.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. So, folks, we're not to the top of the hour, but it's Jeff's got some babysitting to do. I'm in a little pain, so I gotta take some medicine. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back again on Friday, 100% better. I appreciate y'all stopping in, Rick, and all other people that watched and liked and shared, and hopefully do. We appreciate you more than you know. So, folks, have a great Wednesday. Enjoy your turkey tomorrow, and we'll see you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there.